what I realized at a point in my life that I was not accomplishing the things that I knew I was capable of. I knew that I had more in me. I knew that God had called me to more. I knew that there was a blessing and that there were multiple blessings, many blessings that God had for me, but I wasn't yet walking in them, and I wasn't on the path of walking in them. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Pivot Mindset Podcast. My name is Justin. I'm your host. And what is going on, man? How y'all doing out there? I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day. And as you listen to this episode, I want to first thank you. Thank you for returning back to the podcast. Thank you for being a part of what we're building, being a part of this community. If you are new, if this is your very first time listening to this podcast, we have a focus here that we believe that life is all about the pivots. And those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. And that when you make the decision to be successful, that you're going to look at every area of your life. You're going to look at your finances. You're going to look at your relationships. You're going to look at your health. You're going to look at your spirituality. You're going to look at your relationship with God. You're going to look at every single aspect of your life and look at the ways in which you can make a pivot in those areas to become the absolute best version of yourself. And so that's what this podcast is all about, is helping you become the absolute best version of yourself, maxing out life and doing everything that God has called you to. So welcome, man. Welcome to this episode. Man, before we dive in, let's get some quick housekeeping out the way. If this is your very first time listening, just relax, hang out. But if you're returning to this podcast, if you listen to this episode or this podcast more than once, and you have not given us a rating or review yet, would you do us that favor and leave this podcast a rating and review? It really is the only way that we can get the message out that this is something that other people should be listening to. So whether you're listening to this on Spotify or on Apple Music, go ahead, give it a 5-star rating, and go ahead and drop a couple lines of maybe a way or how episode or something like that helped you. But man, I want to dive into the episode today. Today, we're going to be talking about the topic of how to improve yourself right now and the why behind it. How to really improve yourself right now and why this is important. So let me first start off by saying this. I want to talk about really in this episode things that have served me very well on my personal and self-improvement journey. What I realized at a point in my life that I was not accomplishing the things that I knew I was capable of. I knew that I had more in me. I knew that God had called me to more. I knew that there was a blessing and that there were multiple blessings, many blessings that God had for me, but I wasn't yet walking in them, and I wasn't on the path of walking in them. And I realized that no matter how much Bible I read, no matter how much church I experienced, no matter how much, just encouragement I got and wisdom that I gained from other people, that it wasn't until I truly looked at it as a personal development journey that I would really lean into the work. It's not until I looked at myself as a project, right? That, man, there's aspects of you that you want to improve. Let's look at it as a project. Let's look at it as, hey, I'm going to renovate my kitchen. I'm going to renovate my laundry room. I'm going to renovate the outside of the home. And when you do those kind of things in the physical for a property, it is like you realize it's a project. You realize that you've got to get material. You realize you got to find a good contractor to do the job. Or if you're doing it yourself, you realize that there are a YouTube video or there is some kind of book you got to read or there's some online research you got to do, but you approach the work as a project. And I don't know if as people, or at least I didn't approach like improving myself as a project. And so in this episode, my goal is to help give you guys some of the things that I did and that I'm not just did, but that I'm consistently doing in the mindset behind it so that we all can continue to improve at the best ways and at the best levels possible. All right. So how to improve yourself and how to do it right now. So here's one of the first things that I had to ask for feedback. So the first way that I was able to improve myself and that you can improve yourself right now is that you have to be open and begging for feedback. I think that one of the biggest challenges that anybody has with becoming better or to improve is that we often don't have self-awareness of where we are in the moment. We don't have awareness of how we show up, how we impact a room, how we walk into rooms, and what people feel about us or think about us. We don't know what people believe our positives and our negatives are. We don't know what the pros and cons of ourselves is in different spaces. And so if you want to improve yourself in a relatively quick and short amount of time, one of the best ways to do it is to become more open to feedback. And here's what that looks like. Becoming more open to feedback looks like that you talk to people that are around you that you feel like you know very well and that know you very well, and you ask them for feedback on specific areas in your life. Now, here's the thing. When you're asking for this feedback, you are taking it all with a healthy perspective and a healthy lens. It doesn't matter the person that you're asking for feedback. It doesn't matter if it's a coworker or relative, somebody that's above you, somebody that's beneath you at work or something like that. The goal is to get as much feedback as possible. Now, what you do with that feedback is the whole other part of the story. So if you look at feedback as a review on you, right? Like if you think about a product, and if let's say Apple, right? They release a phone, they release a tablet, they release a computer. When they release that computer, they do desire feedback. They desire reviews, and what they're hoping to get is an accurate depiction of what people think about their product. Now, they don't necessarily care if you are a first-time person with an iPhone, if you're experienced and have had iPhones all your life, or if you're a power user. That doesn't matter to them. What matters to them is that they have a large amount of data and feedback on their products. They actually desire to have feedback from multiple different categories and groups of people because they now know how their product could be better for those particular niches of their customer segment. For us, I think sometimes we only ask for feedback from people that we want to be like. Sometimes we only ask for feedback for people that have lives that we admire. And that's okay. I think a part of our feedback should be there, but there's aspects of feedback that should come from peers, that people that have lives just like you do. There's aspects of feedback that should come down to like people that may not even be close to where you are, right? Like as a person, I can get feedback from my children. Like I could get great feedback on how I'm showing up as a parent, how I'm showing up as an individual, how I'm showing up as a man. Not to say that I take that feedback and I run with it and I implement it right then and there, but I have to look at feedback as all data. And if I start looking at myself as like a product, and that the more data that I can get about this product and how people review it from their perspective, I'll know what areas that I want to improve, especially if I want to get better in something that's related to human connection, human impact, things like that, right? I got to know how humans view me. So that's first one. First one is, right, to become more open to feedback. Here's the second one, is to stop thinking about your goals and start thinking about the kind of person that you want to be. I know. We're so goal-oriented, and goals are very important, and how we accomplish goals is one of the most important pieces. And so we have to stop thinking about goals from the perspective that, hey, I want to accomplish something. And we have to start thinking through, like, what is the kind of person that I want to be to accomplish those goals consistently? Here's something that I wrote down. It says, you don't get out of life who you are in a moment. You get out of life who you are consistently. And so in order to stack up consistently, being like consistent wins, you have to first look to be a person. You have to first look to develop yourself to be a kind of person. And so if you take goals off the table for a minute and say, hey, I'm not just going to try to set goals, but instead I'm going to cultivate the person and who I am. I'm going to be the kind of person that is always on time. I'm going to be the kind of person that is that's generous, whatever your goals are. I would not think about the goal, but I would think about the kind of person that you would need to be to accomplish that goal. So that's number 2, is stop thinking about your goals and start thinking about the kind of person that you want to be. And if you think about the kind of person that you want to be, this gets into our number 3rd thing that you can do to improve yourself right now is if you stop thinking about the goals and start thinking about the people, number 3 is you find people who have qualities you want, not just the possessions that you want. I'll repeat that again. You find people who have qualities that you want and not just the possessions that you want. I know that in my life, I often looked at people's possessions, and if I desired their possessions, then I would look to them for advice. And what I found was that just because somebody had similar possessions or they made an amount of money that I wanted, it didn't mean that they had the same value system, the same moral system, moral code, and the same like integrity that I did. It didn't mean that they had the same way of getting to that I would. And so I think what you have to be okay with is that, yes, there are going to be people that you look up to that, hey, you just want the possessions that they have. And there is a strategy in which they were able to get it. And yes, you can learn from them people. But what I found has served me better is to not look at the possessions of people, but look at people who have the qualities that you want. So if you're struggling with being on time, you could connect with the person who is always on time. Not that they have the life that you want, but finding how they develop themselves to always be on time. So it's like you can take and pick and choose qualities of people and things that you'd like to add into your repertoire. So I could learn how to be on time from a person that's always on time. It doesn't mean that they have the lifestyle that I want. It doesn't mean that they have and make the amount of money that I want, but I could pull from them and learn, man, this is how I can start things I can start implementing to be on time. Man, this is how I can start implementing things to be better with communication, whatever it is, right? Don't necessarily think that the person has to have the possessions that you want, as long as they have the qualities that you want, right? You could pull those possessions together or you could pull those qualities together to produce the kind of possessions or the material life that you're desiring, right? So find people, that's number 3. Find people who have the qualities you want, not just the possessions that you want. And here's number 4, and this is going to be my last point for this episode, is that I want you guys to reverse engineer your routine and build a system for your success. If you can find a way to reverse engineer your routine, and then once you reverse engineer your routine, then you build a system that routine can drop and fit into to allow you to be more successful. So Justin, what do you mean by reverse engineer? When we reverse engineer something, we think about the end goal, right? We put the end goal at the forefront, and then we back our way into, okay, if I want to accomplish that, what steps will I need to take to accomplish that? So for example, if I said, hey, I want to make $100,000 this year. If I think about it, $100,000 this year would equate to $8,333.33 per month, right? If I don't think about the 100, if I think about the $8,333.33 that I would need to make per month, I'm reverse engineering. I'm taking the big goal that I have for a year, and I'm backing that in reverse engineering. So it's okay. Now I need to make $8,333 per month to be able to accomplish the goal. Now, I may even reverse engineer it further. Okay, how much money would I need to make a day? That is $277.77 per day in that month that I would need to make to be able to make $8,333.33. That would equate to $100,000 a year, right? I'm using money as a way to show what I mean by reverse engineer, is that whatever our end goal is, we start there, we start with the end in mind, and then we back up from that goal and put it into smaller, incremental, tangible things that you can be doing on a daily basis to get to that eventual goal. So, for example, another example, if you want to lose 10 pounds, instead of thinking about, man, I want to lose 10 pounds, you'll say, if I want to lose 10 pounds, how many pounds would I need to lose per day in whatever the goal? I want to lose 10 pounds in 2 months. Okay, cool. I would need to lose this amount of weight per week or per month. Okay, that would mean I need to lose this amount of weight per week and then maybe this amount of weight per day. All right. Okay, what do I need to eat to lose that amount of weight per day? What kind of caloric deficit will I need to be in to And then once you determine what those numbers are, now you plug those into a system. Now you say, hey, this is what I need to be doing on a daily basis. All right, how do I make sure, for the money example, what do I have to sell? What do I have to do? How many hours do I have to work to make $277 per day? Flat out, right? So if you can find a way to reverse engineer your routine and what you want out of life, then you can build a system for success and on how to actually accomplish that and build that out. My fifth thing, and this is kind of just a bonus thing, I think it's always necessary and always important to be getting counsel and getting either a coach or a mentor to help you walk through whatever the thing you have desire for. I don't want you guys to underestimate the true power of accountability. I have not been able to accomplish anything significant in my life without accountability. Everything that I've accomplished in my business has been because, like in any businesses that I've had, is because I've had some level of accountability. I did not do it on my own. I've never been rogue. I've always at least had a guide, a model, and somebody that could help keep me on track and help keep me on par with things. And that's true in business, but I think that also has to be true in our lives. Anybody that doesn't have accountability, you are opening yourself up for immense failure and undue challenge, temptation, and problems. When you have accountability and somebody that can check you or somebody can call you out or somebody that can look at your blind spots and show you, hey, here is the area on why you haven't been able to accomplish those goals, it will be an absolute game changer for you. And so that has been an absolute game changer for me. That's kind of just a bonus is, after you become more open to feedback, after you determine the kind of person that you want to be and what then as becoming that person, what kind of goals can that person accomplish? And then you find people who have the qualities that you want and you talk to them and you ask them about how they're able to do what you desire to do. But I think and then after you reverse engineer, right, and build your routine and put a system in place for success so that your success isn't random, but your success is intentional. After you do those 4 things, I think the 5th thing that you have to do is you have to find a mentor, you have to find a coach, you have to find a guide, someone who can help you walk yourself through that process. I would say that growing up in the neighborhoods that I grew up in, coming from the places that I came from, which was like the inner city, impoverished, lack, scarcity, mentorship was not a common thing. Mentorship was not even a cool thing. I never heard it in my household. I never heard it in my community, never heard it in my schools. I never heard it with my friends. But what I realized is that is a foundational essence of success, that people that have success at a very high level, they have coaching, they have development, they have support to allow them to get to the goals and what they want to accomplish. All right. And so that's what I have for you in this episode. Man, thank you guys for checking out and being a part of this. Thank you for listening all the way through. As always, remember that life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.